Around 100 Russian soldiers who decided they weren't cut out for war quickly learned otherwise. After a mutiny at a camp in Yekaterinburg, they were forcibly sent to Luhansk, their phones confiscated, and left without food or water for over a day. A real honor serving in the Russian army.
Все, мы поехали в Луганск. Что делаешь?
Recently, photos surfaced on social media showing a 152mm 2S5 Pantsir-S self-propelled artillery system literally buried in the ground. This system belongs to the Russian occupation forces engaged in battles against Ukraine's defense forces. What stands out is the scale of the shelter the Russians dug for their artillery. Another notable aspect is the mere presence of the Pantsir-S in these images, as this system rarely appears in public materials related to the Russian armed forces. At first glance, this may seem paradoxical, but in reality, it is a deliberate tactical adaptation that has emerged at this stage of the Russian-Ukrainian war. The primary reason behind it is the dominance of drones on the battlefield. This aligns with findings from a recent report by the British think tank RUSI, which examines current frontline developments. The report highlights that both Russian forces and Ukraine's defense forces actively disperse their artillery systems and position them in underground shelters. Such tactics enhance survivability against counter-battery fire and the widespread use of attack drones. Even minor drone damage can necessitate the premature replacement of a gun barrel, a costly and time-consuming process. And even for Russian forces, artillery barrels are a finite resource. As a result, at this stage of the war, artillery operations have shifted towards subterranean positioning, requiring separate shelters for artillery systems, ammunition depots, and personnel. In the specific case of the Russian 2S5 Pantsir-S, burying it appears to be the only viable protection method. This system lacks an armored cabin to shield its crew, and even the crude addition of protective grates has been deemed impractical by the occupiers. Earlier, Defense Express reported that the emergence of the 2S-44 Pantsir-K wheeled self-propelled artillery system has revived interest in the Soviet-era 2S-21 Mist-AK project. Last month, operators of the 412th Nemesis Regiment of the Unmanned Systems Forces struck hundreds of enemy heavy vehicles, armored personnel carriers, tanks, multiple launch rocket systems, and ammunition depots. The command of the Unmanned Systems Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported this on March 1st. In particular, Nemesis combat crews disabled 365 enemy howitzers and guns, including the rare North Korean M1978 Koksan self-propelled artillery system. The unit also excelled in the discipline of air defense elimination. In Luhansk region, the Strela 10M4 air defense system was destroyed, while in the Zaporizhzhia sector, a Buk M3 system was damaged. Additionally, a mobile S-60 anti-aircraft artillery system was reduced to scrap metal, the report states. Operators of the 412th Nemesis Regiment in Luhansk region destroyed a Strela 10M4 surface-to-air missile system, one of the most modern modifications of the Soviet-era Strela 10 air defense system. In a fierce compilation, Ukrainian warriors show how they crushed the occupiers in the last month of winter. On the Toretsk front, warriors of the 28th Separate Mechanized Brigade, named after the Knights of the Winter Campaign, inflicted significant losses on Russian occupiers in cooperation with adjacent units. The brigade's press service reported this. Over a month of intense combat, Ukrainian forces eliminated hundreds of invaders, inflicted numerous injuries, and destroyed or damaged dozens of enemy vehicles. Additionally, the defenders managed to shoot down an enemy aircraft. Air defense units, artillery, tank crews, and strike drone operators effectively engaged in the battles. Neither frost nor blizzards nor the horde will stop our warriors on the path to victory, the brigade emphasized. Ukrainian forces have recently launched a successful counteroffensive in Toretsk, a strategic mining city in the Donetsk region. Russian troops had captured the city in early February, but within 2 weeks, Ukrainian forces mounted a swift and effective counterattack, reclaiming significant portions of the city. The 100th Mechanized Brigade of Ukraine played a pivotal role in this operation. Deployed to Toretsk prior to August 2024, this brigade has been instrumental in defending the city against Russian advances. Their Voron drone unit has been particularly effective, utilizing attack drones to target Russian positions and disrupt enemy operations. This counteroffensive is part of a broader strategy by Ukrainian forces to regain control over key territories in the eastern regions. The rapid recapture of Toretsk not only demonstrates Ukraine's resilience, but also highlights the challenges faced by Russian forces in maintaining their positions amid coordinated Ukrainian attacks. The situation in Toretsk underscores the dynamic nature of the conflict, with control over strategic locations continually shifting as both sides adapt their tactics and strategies. Ukraine's recent successes in Toretsk and other areas reflect their determination to reclaim occupied territories and challenge Russian advances. Ukraine's counteroffensive in Toretsk is part of a larger battlefield dynamic in the east, where Russian forces are struggling to make meaningful gains despite heavy assaults. Over the past months, Russia has launched relentless attacks along the eastern front, particularly in Avdiivka, Bakhmut, and now Chasiv Yar. However, these offensives have come at an enormous cost. Russian troops are advancing only meters at a time, while suffering devastating losses in manpower and equipment. Ukrainian defenders, heavily utilizing drones, artillery, and precision strikes, have inflicted severe casualties, significantly weakening Russian assault capabilities. This grinding warfare is opening new opportunities for Ukrainian counterattacks. As seen in Toretsk, Ukrainian forces are striking back when Russian units are stretched thin and exhausted from continuous frontal assaults. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Trump wants lasting peace, and I trust both him as US President and Zelensky. He added that Zelensky did nothing wrong in his meeting with Trump.
You say to President Trump, because you say nobody wants to see that, but many people were appalled by what they saw, a war leader being berated by the man who's meant to be the leader of the free world. So what did you say to
look,
Donald
nobody
Trump?
wants to see that. Clearly, there's a lot of tension. The cameras were on. Nobody wants to see that. But I spoke to President Trump. I spoke to President Zelensky. Obviously, we then had President Zelensky to Downing Street yesterday, and I spoke to President Macron after that, and then to President Trump. And the purpose, or my driving purpose, has been to bridge this, if you like, and get us back to the central focus. And as a result of the meeting yesterday, we had quite a long time with President Zelensky, then President Macron and President Trump on the phone. We've now agreed that the United Kingdom, along with France and possibly one or two others, will work with Ukraine on a plan to stop the fighting, and then we'll discuss that plan with the United States. So in those calls on Friday night, through the meeting yesterday, into the calls again last night, I think we've got a step in the right direction because, as I say, nobody wants to see what happened on Friday, but it's really important that we keep our central focus, which is lasting peace in Ukraine. Nobody wants any more bloodshed.
Lavrov says that all the world's troubles and misfortunes have originated from Europe. So why do Russians strive so much to vacation there, send their children to study there, and buy property in Europe? Here's an idea for Lavrov. Russia should build a huge wall on its border with Europe, completely ignore Europe, ban its corrupt officials and their families from going there, and let Russians vacation exclusively at resorts in North Korea.
The last 500 years, when the West more or less formed in the way it has come down to us, well, naturally with some changes. All these 500 years, yes, all the tragedies of the world originated in Europe, or thanks to European politics. Colonization, wars, Crusaders, the Crimean War, and Napoleon, World War I, Hitler. And if you look retrospectively at history, well, the Americans did not play any kind of inciting, let alone inflammatory role.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.